All right, we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to Finding Truth on Unscripted Truth TV on YouTube here. Logan here with Austin once again, number 34, coming at you hot, fast, and wet. I don't know. That was I'm just ad-libbing. But tonight's episode will be a little bit of a smorgasbord of we're going to go over the NASCAR race that finished up earlier today and uh, on this beautiful Mother's Day. All you mothers out there, just gorgeous creatures. We wouldn't be here without you. Um, no, I would have. I'd have manifested myself one way or another. No, I'm
We're
just
sponges.
kidding. So, yeah, my dad's actually a seahorse. So my dad gave birth to me. So anyway, uh, so yeah, we'll talk about the race and then look into a couple of things that have been, on the tip of the political sphere, such as obviously it's Trump centric, if you will, because they're making everything revolve around him. More than just his waistline already makes things revolve around him. Um, we'll talk about the real ID and their push for that coming up. I mean, is it not this month that they're like pushing it? Aren't they saying that there's a lot of states I think that are their requirements for flight and like entering federal buildings and stuff is like this month.
Yeah, May
So
7th.
okay. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So a few 4 days ago. Never mind. I'm a little late on that, but so yeah, we'll talk about that. What it kind of entails, and if there's any pushback for what that is, or are they just able to get it off like so many other things that they slipped under the rug? Well, we were unawares. And lastly, I think we're just going to talk, continue our kind of like what's becoming like, I think, a series, which should have a third part next week where we should have King Richard join us, but talking about relationships and this time from like a little bit different of an angle. Relationships being the focus, but there's several different ways to branch off from that, and we'll explore a few more of those ways this week before wrapping it up. But without further ado, send it down to you, Austin. How's it going, buddy? I know you had a kind of a rough week.
Yeah, still, getting over that back injury, and it just takes time. And yeah, looking forward to, like I said, just getting over it completely, just getting back to what I do, what I love to do, what I do best. Been trying to, I've been doing workouts in the house and still trying to go to the gym. I haven't done any running in a couple weeks. Obviously, I haven't been to the trampoline park since my birthday and stuff. So probably take off that probably the rest of the month is, still go to the gym and do my workouts and then get back into that stuff once June's here and just let my back heal up. It's, it's doing better. It's making progress. It's not as sore. It's getting easier to move and do stuff. So just kind of depends on timing and stuff. And yeah, it's just been kind of dealing with stuff. There's kind of issues in life, just like all kind of things. And I just, it's just kind of signs of the times. I mean, it's, where we are and how life is and things you got to deal with. And I know it's been kind of brought up a little bit in the last episode. It's kind of been a rough last few years. And, I'm looking at, hopefully, I'd like for my 30s for things to start picking up and getting better and improving. Um, that's for sure. Hopefully making some headway, just hopefully something around the corner is a lot better and assuming, and that's what I'm kind of hoping to, getting done with these classes here, and hopefully I pass my thing next week and get this all done and taken care of, and then that's gone and don't have to really deal with that. So yeah, I mean, we're almost in the clear when it comes to that, and hopefully other things kind of work themselves out. um I know there's some other things in my life that kind of suck right now too, just like, uncertainty, just trying to just do these little podcasts and stuff we do, and hopefully we keep them coming and we continuously do them because obviously, I mean, it's not like we're making bank off it, but I do love doing them. I enjoy doing them, and I look forward to them every Sunday. So obviously want to keep them going and whatever I got to do to make that happen. And then just like other things too, just, finances, down the road, just, gonna have to probably sell my car here sooner or later. Um, just it's kind of unfortunate too, because I know I kind of got screwed on my last car, got screwed on this one, and now I kind of got to hope I don't get screwed 3 times in a row and strike out, and hopefully, things go well, whatever I decide to do, and getting by, and hopefully things go a lot better than they have been going. But yeah, just dealing with that, and just people and kind of annoyances, and just the adjustments of life. I know there's just so much going on, and there's just a lot going on for me. And I wouldn't say it's been all bad or all negative the last since I moved, on 30th and stuff. I wouldn't say it's been all downhill. I mean, there's been some things where it's kind of been somewhat, maybe a couple red flags, but other than that, it's been pretty decent, I'd say. And things can always be worse, and that's the thing. You just gotta hopefully try and improve and get better, and make sure you're hopefully going in the right direction in life, and kind of what it's all about. I mean, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and just trying to get things moving, and looking forward to the future. And yeah, I think we should have a pretty good show tonight. Looking forward to got some good topics again. The relationships episode was good last week. We'll add in quite a bit on that tonight. More angles and more attacks and more looks at that. Because that's such an important topic, and there's so many ways and angles and ways to attack that, and things you got to talk about. And yeah, that real ID thing. We'll give that a quick look over tonight too. Looking forward to that. And yeah, I mean, I did put a good old 10 bucks on Ryan Blaney starting in the 10th position, but he fell a little short. But I think I think that was a solid go. But it was more of the domination of the grand larcening, um, sweeping another race, just total domination once again, winning all stages, and of course winning the race.
Yeah, and I'm curious. Is was that okay? Hold on, I'm just seeing another headline because we've been hot on the tails of Michael Jordan's NASCAR team, and I guess they're in the headlines. We'll look at that in a second. There's a couple of things in the headlines this week that, if I would have known, there would have been potentially some more in-depth research done last week. But I know, who was it that set the was it Bell? No, it was Byron, right? That was leading pretty much 95% of the race, but lost at the very end to was it Kyle Larson, or was that the one where the Reddick, or I'm trying to remember here. Was it this one?
I think it was it was Darlington where Byron dominated. He almost should have
Oh,
led
that's
every
right.
lap. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Good memory. So, because I saw that, Larson led 221 of the 267 laps. Like, that's pretty good. I wonder what's they've been doing that a lot this year,
Yeah.
where you have like a pretty much a front runner for the majority of races, and not to say that they always win. In fact, I don't think most of the time they have won. I think most of the time they haven't, actually, because it's happened quite a few times where the majority lap leader loses pretty much right at the end with some sort of a measure of, what I would say, scripting, but something happening, a pit issue or a flag or some caution or something, a wreck. But yeah, I got another Hendrick Motorsports win, and yeah,
Yeah, Byron had that tire go down. Otherwise, yeah, Hendrick would have had a good show, and all the Hendrick cars did well. I know Elliott was up there. This is one of his better races this year. Bowman was up there. Byron had that tire go down whenever he finished kind of towards the back, and I know Bubba, he DNF'd 2 weeks in a row now. There was kind of some wrecks there towards the end. It started to look like Texas last week, kind of towards the end. There's a lot of blowouts, a lot of flat tires. Yeah, it's kind of another one of those races that really it's been some races this year that really haven't been too eventful. Just been a lot of domination. Just kind of seemed like it was another one of those that just Larson on pole and just gonna dominate it, and just that was gonna be it. So I mean, if you were gonna bet, you weren't gonna win much unless you just put a ton on him. I mean, he started first, so I mean, it wasn't a lot to gain.
Yeah, you're right. Quite a lot of even the dinger DNF'd. Oh no, not the dinger.
Yeah, Kozlowski was up there. He was having a good one. He was
I saw
almost
that.
battling up for the lead. Yeah, and he wrecked. And
Just seeing here.
man, Ginsburg, he almost broke the teens. He's up to 20th, and he's just slowly creeping up.
Get ready, dude. Get ready. I will be the only one not surprised here when this this absolute turnaround happens. We got a long season. Come on, buddy. Yeah, I mean, from when I checked in on the race, it kind of like, you know, I didn't see a lot of variation from like 1 through 5. Um, honestly, 1 through 10. They were almost, all of them were in those positions for pretty much the entire race from what I saw checking in on it. I know Blaney made a pretty good leap near the end from like sixth, seventh to third. Thought he might have a final gasp in him to get off the schneid here this year, but
Yeah, he was running kind of top 5 all race. He was kind of around 5th, 4th. He was up there, just never really in the lead, but he was always just hunting around, just hanging around.
interestingly enough, this is the first top 3 that has all 3 uh,
Manufacturers.
manufacturers. Yeah. Oh, wait, did we put a little soft call on? Yeah, we did. We talked about Chase Elliott or Larson winning last week. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't remember that. I forgot. Advent Health equals 201. So we definitely mentioned the 201 drivers last week. But it's not like we did any crazy digging on it. We're just, kind of
Yeah.
from our knowledge of them equaling 201 to that. But there were a couple of odd headlines surrounding this. I haven't done any digging into like the numbers or anything like that on these people, but I know last week I mentioned, it's odd that there's a Kansas City, Kansas, and also a Kansas City, Missouri. It's just like when you think about it, it is just kind of weird. It's like you don't have an Oregon City, California.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird that Kansas City is also a city in Missouri, but as far as I know, is there even a Missouri City? So it'd be
Right.
funny if Missouri City was in Kansas. But anyway,
Yeah.
so this race takes place in Kansas City, Kansas, and I was, made the remark that, it's interesting that I think I just made a quick swift remark about the Chiefs. Funnily enough, the Chiefs general manager, Brett Veach, is good friends with Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Look at that. So not only was he at this race in the pit crew, basically down, obviously you see him, he's down in the staging area. I don't know what else. Who is that? Oh, you lost? Hey boy, you lost. Anyway, no, I'm just sorry. But yeah, interest. Honestly, huh? I was gonna say if it kind of looks like Lamar Jackson with like a Ravens shirt on, but anyway, I know he's had his mix up with NASCAR this year with the whole Dale Earnhardt trademark number 8 thing. Anyway, never mind all that. But so yeah, there's there are a couple of sideline stories that are related to this. Not only that, it was Mother's Day, which I don't think we factored into it because I totally forgot and didn't think about it last week when we were looking into this. But I think it is a little bit funny that Kansas City, Missouri's general manager was at the Kansas race. Just like it's just weird. It's just as likely for him to be at the Texas one, but he's at the one that's in Kansas City, Kansas. It's just weird. I don't know. There's definitely I say it's weird over and over again, but what I'm really trying to stress is that it's not weird. There's a reason why they did it. There's in my opinion. I mean, not to mention, interestingly, Kyle Larson, he's been pretty attuned to the headlines. Um, and I don't know if anything, happened in NASCAR during the week, but I know that the last time he was in the headlines, it was for his publicist dying. And he not only won the Xfinity series, but the Cup series in the same week. So I was like, I don't think that was any coincidence either. And could this be some sort of, I don't know, some sort of tell for the Kansas City Chiefs season? Who knows?
Yeah, it could be marketing off last season or going forward. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, Brett Veach. Never heard of the man. But I guess these are probably people that are more important and vital to the way these things run than the players necessarily. So he's 47 years old, huh? It's a fun time in your life,
The wonderful age, the wonderful number.
A beautiful age. December 19th. I'm tripping. I keep forgetting Pope Francis's birthday. Oh, it's December 17th. Okay, I just had to look. Close. All right. So December 19th. So let's see if he was involved in this at all. Let's see. Oh, that's the other thing. I mean, I was meaning to check is Kansas City, Kansas area code. The 913. We're doing this for the 913. Hmm. 144 day span of 144 days since his birthday.
The big time number.
Oops. 222 days until his next birthday.
Another big number. He's Vici Peachy Bleachy.
Yeah, let's see. What's this dude's full name? Literally, no, it doesn't have a full name.
Some people they got 4, 5, 6 names.
Seriously.
Guys, just gonna keep it simple.
Brett William Byron Chris Bell Veach. It's like that's really weird. Really no middle name, huh? Veach and his wife have 3 children together, right? You know, see, it's like, this is almost another somewhat kind of proof too. It's just how they kind of withdraw from, you know, statistics, like from being able to be looked up and looked into at all. From Pennsylvania, Mount Carmel. Like, what the fuck? Interesting. Well, I'm sure he plays into it at some point. Interesting, at least to have, we'll see if his name comes up in the future. Because as far as I know, it's not like I'm super, attuned to sports and everything, even the NFL when I was like doing research last year for my correct predictions. I still didn't know he was the general manager. I, of course, know the coaches and the players and all that stuff, but it's probably a good idea to know. Also, he's really young. Like, he's really young to pretty much be second in command to the owners. So, anyway,
He's got that 47 magic going for him.
yeah, it does. Might be a big year for them, for him. So, once again, I think it was Advent Health Care. No, was it Advent Health Care? Yeah, Advent Healthcare 201. Kyle Miyata. 2-1, same cipher. Let's see. I know, I know the significance of November 5th being written, similar to May 11th. What day of the year is it actually? 131st day of the year. 131. Not too sure. But let's look quickly at I would assume like we went through quite a few drivers' birthdays and stuff. Did we even do Kyle Larson's last? I feel like we did. July 31st. No, 9 months and 11 days. Let's see, until his next one. Nope.
81 like ritual. Yeah, Chase Elliott too. He was doing pretty good too, and so it's like, which 201 are we going to give it to?
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. 2 front runners for the majority of the race. Of course, Larson led for most of it, but the most led laps was Chase Elliott, aside from Larson. And of course, this could be tied to good old Jeffrey Garden. Just high on Pepsi.
But too many Pepsis, bro. I'm drunk. He's high on the DuPont paint and he's drunk on the Pepsi.
Sniffing DuPont. That's a real reason why
He's got the DuPont pipe in his car. Like the old Dick Trickle smoking the cigarettes.
Dick Trickle. Oh, what's the other one? What is it? NFL?
Dick
No, Dick
Butkus.
Butkus.
Yeah.
Put Dick Butkus and Dick Trickle in the same room, just see who wins.
You got the Chiefs kicker, Butker.
Mm-hmm.
We got a Butker, Butkiss. We got a Dick Trickle.
Like some kidney stones or something. All I can get is a Dick Trickle. Let's see. So from his last birthday, 40 weeks on the nose.
Yeah, that's Dick Trickle for his John Hancock.
One thing I wanted to check too is where's that leave Kyle here? Is this significant?
I think it was his 33rd win today, too.
Was it really?
I think it was.
It has it updated and it says 32 wins.
If you click on his Wikipedia, they should have updated it. I think they updated it after the race.
Yeah, 32.
Hmm. Got to get one more.
I don't remember. I was looking up things. I swear I came across the 32. Anyway, so let's go look at that other headline because I've been see like this is it's what's interesting is like these little side headlines are kind of coming to fruition. They're like bleeding as much as they can from like these side stories. And one thing I've been talking about, especially when Denny Hamlin was look at this. I didn't even notice this. This is an ongoing story with Denny Hamlin saying he was going to drop out initially of the Cup racing of the Cup series. Now it looks like Michael Jordan might be pulling his whole team, but this could be after appeal hearing for what? Their lawsuit against NASCAR. Oh, they're just
Me a lawyer.
see. It's like apparently they're suing NASCAR for damages, and they want to race as a charter team or whatever. But I don't know what that means. Oh, oh, some are automatically in the race, and some have to qualify. Is that how that works? Sorry, this is I
You mean
wasn't.
for the drivers or?
Yeah, for the teams.
Yeah, it used to be like owner points. It used to be like whoever was top 35 in owner points automatically made the race. And if you were outside that, then you'd have to qualify to
Ah,
get in.
so that's what he's suing for. Is to still be considered a charter, which isn't required to be a. Um, I'm sure it doesn't have to qualify to have those owner points or whatever. Yet they would still be up. I think he's just swinging his his name around. Um, thinking that it'll work out. The point is that 2/3 of the season remains. What was Jordan's number? Interesting. And other racing teams would receive more money if NASCAR was not making guaranteed payments under a court-mandated contract to these plaintiffs. And that is a real harm, not just to NASCAR, but to other racing teams. So I just really don't understand this issue, but that's interesting to know that that's how that NASCAR works. I didn't know. I thought you had to qualify each week, but that makes sense. See, there's another layer. That is another layer. Do we, let's take, now it comes into like if we were really to be serious about decoding NASCAR, we would have to check the sponsors each week. We would have to.
Oh yeah.
Because this is telling you right in plain English that if you have a script, that sponsor knows they're going to sponsor a car, whether they've qualified or not. The ones that are going to be in the race are already guaranteed. So those sponsors are set to the public. But the other ones behind closed doors, they know they're going to be in the next week's race. They got the cars ready. They got the decals ready. Whether or not they qualify, they know they're going to qualify. So it just tells you that they're scripting this shit because it's more about the sponsors. Just like think about the Super Bowl, think about NFL. It's more about let's not look at these weirdos dance either. But it's more about insurance companies than it is about football. How many insurance companies are the main co-sponsors of the NFL? Of course, you got State Farm, which is, right up there with, Kansas City. So, or at least Mahomes. But anyway, yeah, I had no idea about that. Like, that's just another layer of they're controlling the narrative or whatever you will. And then of course you have Michael Jordan, who how old is homeboy right now? He's 62. 62. Hmm. Oh yeah, MJ equals 23.
Also, that
Um,
equals 5 too, like Kyle Larson.
oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Of course, he races under Hendrick. So I wonder. So anyway, this story has been unfolding with initially they said, I saw that Denny Hamlin might be dropping out of the Cup Series because the competition's bad. Now it looks like his team or his team is on the ropes in court. Not to mention he DNF'd like the last two races, I believe. Like crashes, one super early, like one he DNF'd like within the first stage, well within the first stage, I think.
Yeah, I think he broke his transmission today. It was something on pit road or something.
Let's see, Front Row Motorsports. That's not one I forget that this is a double partnership here with 23XI. Front Row Motorsports 106. And they partner with the black owner. What's front row equal? 129. 42. Another black number.
Kyle Larson used to drive the 42. That's when he got fired or whatever, and then they brought him back.
Huh.
Yeah, I know next week's race is I believe it's a I don't think it's a
Yeah, let's
points
take a
race.
look.
I think it's a expedition race. So it doesn't count for points or anything.
Kind of like an invitational type of thing. Is leggy in it?
Leggy.
All right, yeah, let's take a look ahead to next week. Try to There's something going on though. Behind the scenes, there's definitely some sort of like underlying thing they're pushing with NASCAR. It's like when in any other sports when there's like injunctions and court cases that has like it's going to play some part in NASCAR moving forward. And it sounds to me like there it has to do with qualifying and kind of buying your way in. And in this case, Jordan's all like, you shouldn't have to. You should be able to race as basically, let's call it an independent team. I think they call them charters. Or no, the charters are the ones that get automatically in. He was racing under I can't remember already what they called it. But anyway, sounds like they're going to mix something up with that. And I'm sure what it's going to do is open up more doors for probably swapping players and things like that. Because at the moment, NASCAR is really not like known for that, whereas all other sports are. Of course, you do have changing of teams and stuff like that, but usually it's not as prolific as other sports.
Yeah, I don't know how the it used to be when they used to have the 43 car field every week. It was the top 35 and owner points were in, and there was the 8 other cars that would have to try and qualify to get in, but they don't have the 43 car field anymore. Um,
Well, it
and
sounds
now
like they still have charters.
yeah, I don't know because now it's not even. It used to be it was always 43 cars. Now there's not the 43 anymore. Now it's just kind of I think it's just kind of random. Sometimes there's like 40 cars, sometimes there's like 37, 38, 39. So it's kind of I'm not sure if it's still the top 35 or if they've changed that or how that is nowadays.
Seems to me like this is a kind of like a transitional time for NASCAR. You're getting a lot of bad publicity on the Cup Series too right now. People are saying it's kind of trash. Not only the drivers, but also apparently the sentiment about the NASCAR has gone way down.
Kind of everything is right now. I mean, you got football, NFL's like that. I know wrestling. I mean, people are pissed. People are pissed about
Good. Maybe there's a real awakening happening.
people. I know people were disappointed with like the WrestleMania and shit, and like the John Cena match and all that, and NASCAR and everything. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe people are finally having enough. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It could be more like manufactured movement of people's hearts too. Because here's what I'll have to say about that real quickly is they don't want people to all simultaneously not like their product because they don't like it. They want them to not like their product because they made them not like it. Does that make sense? It's like so that they can still control the narrative of it. And so how much of it is actually just headlines saying that people don't like our product and so that they can have they're the authority on what people like and don't like, whereas you don't really know 100,000 people to know their sentiment at any given time. You know what I mean? It's hard to, we can't track that, but then the average person reads online that people don't like NASCAR anymore. They're more likely to jump on that bandwagon, not because maybe they don't like it as much as they just because they'll see it as declining, whether it is or isn't. And then from there, it all boils down to there's going to be things are going to come to a head, and they don't want people to actually be ready for that. They want them to, they're going to want us to be, going along with the script. They're going to want to, it's very, very much like psychology. They want to, index out where we're going to be, kind of like that Damar Hamlin thing. you initiate this big ritual and spectacle, and then you're able to see exactly how the people act out. You index it, and it's just they'll know how to move us going forward. And if the world really truly does like break down at the seams, and it would start through the entertainment. And for years now, Disney's garbage. They killed that on purpose. And I'm not saying it was ever so great, but you don't have to like movies. I don't like movies. You don't have to like Hollywood. I certainly don't like Hollywood, but the products they were giving us to entertain us, which isn't just entertainment, a lot of it is disclosure, but was at least well done. And there was some form of artistic style to it. I don't know. I don't know really what I'm talking about, but as far as that, but nowadays they just like, here's the slop, and we're all at the trough and just like, eating it up. I won't ever do that again on camera. I'm sorry. So yeah, I do see like this declining, like everything's in decline, like you were pointing
Yeah.
out. People, who's a big baseball fan is like, baseball's trash, dude. You see what they're doing. It's the Steph Curry generation for basketball. Now everybody's scoring 130 points a game. And so you see where that's going. And then you look at the MLB. I remember it was like early last season. I was looking at scores and I was like, what am I looking at? I honestly didn't know what I was looking at, because it was like a score of like 20 something to 20 something. I'm like, what? And then well, no, it wasn't just one score. I was like going down the scores and I'm like, am I looking at like football? I had to like double check the scores. I'm like, this is a weird football score. But no, it was the MLB, and they were scoring, everyone scored over 10 runs a game. When I was watching baseball, not even that long ago, I was pretty into baseball. Not, I only played it in high school, but I got pretty into like the Mariners and all that stuff, and just the MLB in general. And yeah, it was like a 10-run game is like the highlight of Sports Center that night. Now it's like nothing. It's wild what the MLB is able to do. Not to
Yeah.
mention hockey as well. I see some hockey scores too. I'm like, what the? Dude, you're really. It's just it's kind of like a litmus test of where we're at. Like how much like you can gauge like how much more offense is happening, which is a direct correlation to how much they need to hold on to us more. Like how much more they need our attention, which is telling you that, things are coming to a head, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's how they always do it. I mean, they always signify things in major ways with sports, and you see it. And you never know how far off something is. I mean, you could see it. Like I said, I mean, I watched the 2001, 2002 Daytona 500. I mean, I could see right through it. It was rigged, just being, before my 6th and 7th birthday, just watching that, and just watching, like the 2001 season. Like after Dale Earnhardt dies, and then that race. Michael Waltrip takes over the 15, and Junior finishes second, and Walter never won a race before, but he's going to win that one because because Earnhardt put him in there, and Earnhardt's going to die right there, and they're going to stage and rig his death, and it's going to be all about Junior, and Steve Park's going to get his second win of his career next week in the DEI, his teammate, and Kevin Harvick's going to take over the 3, and he's going to win 3 weeks later in the 29, and going to get his you know first win, and just like how Earnhardt did it the year before. It was they have all of this set to go, and it's always synced up with events and other things coming. I mean, obviously, like I said, 9/11 was not, it was just months later after that, and well, you had Jeff Gordon win his last final championship that year in the Flames. Had to be the year of the Flames. His first year driving the Flames, that was his last championship. That's where it all ended. And yeah, North Wilkes-Barre. That's the funny thing, is they didn't used to even race there till got the 78, the 84 Austin Jesuit. They actually stopped racing there in 1996. Um,
Former Winston Cup, it looked like.
yeah, that they stopped racing there in '96. That was it. And
Well,
they just,
apparently, sorry.
yeah, they recently brought it back just for yeah, and I believe the All Star race, whoever wins gets $1 million. And look at that, it's got a 4.7 rating again.
So yeah, I mean, it's just it's sometimes it's really easy, and then other times it's also really easy. I feel like NASCAR is just kind of like surface level. And there's like something that they're doing every week, and they just probably don't care that people know about it, or that it's just not like I think there is something to Vegas with these races. I because you're telling me about like, the odds and payouts and stuff. There's really not a whole lot of variation. I mean, if Van Gisbergen wins next week, you're making out like a bandit. But that's not going to happen. So it's just like you have these like I feel like the variation's not high enough so where these rituals are just right on the surface. And it's just how many towns are 201s? And it's very telling too because these towns weren't that you picked yesterday. These have been like founding towns for NASCAR, NASCAR towns basically. That they become NASCAR towns because a NASCAR track moved there, you know what I mean? Or, a NASCAR or a track became a NASCAR track, whatever. But, they've built this like world and it just happens to be in multiple 201 towns. The sponsors are 201, the drivers are 201. I'm sure it's just all a coincidence, but I mean,
Yeah, we talked about how Bristol and Martinsville, how they had those 201s, and those were short tracks, the two shortest tracks, but North Wilkesboro is smaller than both of those. They used to be the smallest track, and they raced back there in '96 and previous. And
and
yeah,
North and Jordan's in the news going into North Carolina as well,
yeah,
where he played his basketball in college.
yeah. The All Star race used to be at Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina, but now they
Does
moved it
does Denny
to.
pick up the All-Star win?
I think it's still $1 million bonus or win for the winner gets $1 million, and it's all about who wins the race. It's not about who finishes second. But I don't know how. I know they always have different like sequences they do this race and stuff. It's always this expedition they'll race, so it doesn't count for anything. So if you win, it's like you're going to be in the playoffs. So it's a
Did
freebie.
Michael Jordan 113? I'm almost positive. Yeah. So you have the Speedway equaling 113 as well at North Carolina. Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. What was it, February 17th? Oops. 3 months in one day, and MJ equals 31. Say two his next birthday. Hmm. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So let's see here. North Carolina. Oh, Carlo Nina. Mhm. Oh, that is what North Wilkesboro. 404 not found.
404.
It's too north. North Carolina, North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, if we go any higher, we're gonna get up into Virginia.
Virginia City, North Carolina.
Yep.
Let's see what's North Wilkesboro area code. 743 336 743.
It's gonna be Larson or Elliott's gonna take home the $1 million.
Who else is under Jordan's team? It's Hamlin and who's his teammate?
Gibbs. Gibbs is Bell, and forget if there's another car.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Wallace. Wait, what? We got Bubba.
Berber.
Of course, racing the 23. Well, that's weird. Herbston. Oh, Reddick. That's the one I was thinking of, though. Why does it not list Hamlin under this?
Hamlin's for Gibbs. He's with Gibbs with Bell.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he raced for. That's weird. So then, is Gibbs part of that lawsuit too? Then getting lost in this. Let's see. That's weird. Denny Hamlin was speaking about this too. That's weird.
Maybe because they're both Toyota or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking is why I thought that for some reason. Oh, because he co-owns that's why. Oh, so it's him. Oh, okay, that's why. I'm tripping. That seems weird that you could be part of a team and part of another team racing for another team. Like that's weird. I knew he was related to Jordan thing. For some reason, I did not know that at this angle. I thought he raced for 23XI because I just saw this every time. I guess
Yeah, I think that has something to do with the Toyota. I know that's NASCAR has those mergers. I know like GM, some of the Hendrick cars, like the Hendrick cars and like the MB2 cars, the Pontiac Grand Prix, like they would have, like Joe Gibbs would have their own motors, but like the MB2, because you got Hendrick, and the Chevy and the Pontiac both being GM. I know like sometimes they'd have like the same motors or they'd share motors and stuff.
Okay.
There's like the 2002 Talladega race where like the Joe Gibbs Pontiacs finished, like Stewart finished second, I think Labonte finished, but then there was like the MB2 cars, like Ken Schrader and like Johnny Benson, they blew up, and like all the Hendrick cars that day blew up, like Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Terry Labonte, Journey. Like everybody had an engine failure. Sometimes they're kind of affiliated in different ways. It's interesting. '74.
Shade Speedway. Well, that's interesting that Michael Jordan's so like pretty much dominating the off the track headlines along with Denny Hamlin for the past couple of weeks. And going into North Carolina, things are kind of lining up for. Okay, so I got to think about that moving forward. I wonder if Reddick is. Let's say okay. So I need to differentiate those now because I've just been thinking about Denny Hamlin as a 23 XI driver, and he's not. So I mean, hell, I mean, maybe they'll give see that'd be funny if they gave, we talk about those what are they called? I mean, of course, I'm sure Bubba Wallace would love $1 million, but they give you those like feel good wins that, it's not a real win. It wouldn't be his like first points win or third, I guess. Hasn't he won 2 races? But it wouldn't be count as a points win, but they'll give him like an ancillary prize like that. So maybe that's where Bubba wins is one of these races that doesn't count technically. I mean, just
Yeah,
look at that right there. Reddick with the best average finish. So it's like maybe one of Jordan's drivers does take this all-star thing. He has the numbers. Uh interesting.
yeah, it's so interesting too. They haven't raced there, since 1996 and bringing it back and stuff. So
January 11th, 111.
well, and he's 29. They haven't raced there in 29 years.
127 days. 4 months, 7 days, like 47 too. I don't know if that plays into this, but it's interesting. It's 34 weeks on the nose from his birthday or to his birthday. This next race. I can't imagine they would be, sometimes it blows my mind how, birthday and date numerology plays into these things because I'm just like, man, my family most of the time doesn't remember my birthday, let alone celebrate it 34 weeks from it. Oh, it's 34 weeks till his birthday. Better do a ritual for him. All right, don't worry about the accent. Don't even question it. Oh, Tyler George Reddick. What a name. George. Well, it's a royal name. $101. A lot of ones with this dude.
97.
That's 62. Interesting stuff. Well, I'll put a soft call on a Jordan driver, and in that sphere, I will include Denny Hamlin because to me, I'm just adding him as a Jordan driver. He's co-owner with his racing team, so technically, it's a Hamlin driver too, right? Right? These guys would be Hamlin drivers too, correct? It's just I
Yeah,
think
yeah, the
think
way
it.
things are affiliated, I mean, yeah, it's like I said, like how like Hendrick and MB2, the Grand Prix and the Monte Carlo used to share a lot of the motors and chassis stuff like that. So yeah, with
Yeah.
these Toyotas and stuff, they'll kind of do that too. They'll kind of be like a team and kind of branch off in other things. And yeah, I think that's so big. I mean, that '96 NASCAR, I forget who won the race back in '96 there, but him being
Oh,
born,
let's check.
yeah, I forget who
That's
won
a
there.
good point.
I don't know. I can't remember if
But
they raced there. It might have been Gordon. I
did they
forget
just
if
call
they
it
raced there
Charlotte?
or well, Charlotte's where it used to be the
Oh,
All Star race, but it's at North Wilkesboro now.
so North Wilkesboro is the one in '96. Is that the one you're referencing?
Yeah, that's the, and I think that might. I mean, since he was born in '96, 29. It's been 29 years. Could be some correlation to that.
Let's see. How would I find tracks? Here we go. Oh, oh, it only lists since 2022. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you're right, Jeffy. Heffy. Heffe.
So I thought,
Couple of Dales following him.
and
Yeah,
another Jeff Burton. We go Jeff, Dale,
Jesus
Dale, Jeff.
Christ. Oh my goodness. You got old Rusty Wallace, and yeah, you got Bubba Wallace. Ricky Rudd. Right next to Rick Mast.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. And you had Kenny Wallace too. Oh man. Got Jeff Green. Yeah, that's what I
I think Earnhardt won there in '95.
okay. So under Hendrick Motorsports currently, it's Larson, Bowman, Byron. Okay, so Byron. Oh man, he's got a squad. Got the young guns. Bowman has not even been anywhere this season. I wonder if he jumps out. So yeah, they're doing pretty good, right? I mean, they got quite a few wins this season. A couple of a Byron win, 3 large. So they're up to 4 wins this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kyle Larson and Chase. So they got both 201 drivers too. That's very interesting. I think I knew that already, but just going over it again, that's interesting. Let's see. Let's
And
quickly
they
check.
got both. They got the Williams. They got the two Williams.
Yep. With Chase Elliott is a William, right?
Yep.
Let's check out Alex Bowman. Alexander Michael Ward Bowman. Jesus. Oh, wait. We definitely looked him up last week.
Yeah.
Is that 62 again? Him and Reddick on the same team, huh? Let's just look up his stage name, his slave name. All right, let's double check. Let's see. April 25th. Just about the hour mark, so we'll finish this up here. So his birthday was 23 days before.
There's that 23 again.
23, 32, 3 weeks, 2 days, 23. I mean, another Jordan number. Let's see until his next birthday. Eh. What was, oh yeah, what's the name of it was the NASCAR All-Star race?
Yep. They said next year too, they're going to have the season finale go back to Homestead like it used to be too.
58. Just think that's funny because was it it was just All-Star 106. A black All-Star. Bub pulls it out.
Bubba Walsh.
Mm. Okay, really quickly. What was, let's see, Byron. November 29th.
Russell Wilson's birthday.
Yep. So it's 6 and 11. Let's see. From his last birthday, it would have been 170 days. In a span, 5 months and 20 days, like 52, like something else. All right, interesting. Well, so got a couple different narratives, I would say. You have Hendrick basically repeating because Jeff Gordon owns Hendrick, obviously, and he won this last North Carolina All-Star or Wilkesboro All-Star, or I don't know if it was an All-Star race, but
I don't think it was. They had the All-Star back at Charlotte. That was the actual points race.
yeah, the last race in Wilkesboro was won by Gordon. He's got 4 dogs in the fight. A couple of 201s where in 201 town. Oh, which I just deleted, but let's just pull this back up real quick. Chase Elliott and Larson. Be really interesting. But of course, the other narrative being, birth, date numerology and birthday, birth dates lining up with a couple of narratives for not only with Denny Hamlin and Jordan in the news with their lawsuit with NASCAR, but this, of course, being in a suburb of North Carolina where Jordan played basketball. And so, yeah, I would say there's, two potential front runners in my book at this current moment. And who knows, there could be, these things can happen midweek, just like the last, Larson win, where his publicist died in the middle of the week and he won both the Cup and Xfinity Series that weekend. So,
And with this being an expedition race, kind of anybody's race doesn't really count. I mean, it's not like you win, you're in the playoffs. So, I mean, they can kind of open it up for whoever they want.
very true. But yeah, you wonder if this is. I'm just trying to think of, like, do you build on a narrative? Do you build on a narrative saying this guy is dominating and let another, like, let Hendrick, let Larson win or something, where it just be like, dang, this guy's killing it this year. He's won, 4 out of the last 6 or something like that. Or do you give it, or do you use this race as a way of, like, propping up one of your pieces that you're going to use later, like a Wallace or a, you know what I mean? Or like a Van Gisbergen jump out of there, just hands $1 million and goes right back down to 25th in the Cup Series. But he just jumps out at the All-Star game and just takes the race easy.
Yeah,
Adrian Aldeal.
The All Star race, and the Coca Cola 600. I believe the Coca Cola 600 is 2 weeks from now. That's the race after, but they always have when it used to be the All Star race at Charlotte. They had the Coke 600 the week after. So sometimes you'd have the guy who'd win um, the All Star win the Coke 600. Too. I know, like Kurt Busch won it in 2010. He swept both of them. But I believe the Coke 600, that's actually at Charlotte.
Oh,
So
and that's at Charlotte, so they just go right
yeah.
down the street. They don't even gotta change hotels.
Yeah, they
Okay,
used to both be at Charlotte. It used to be the All Star and then the Coke 600, but now they
I see.
switching it up.
Hmm. Alrighty then. Well, we'll keep our ears pinned to any news. I'll try to, at least a couple of storylines, at least, something to think about with those, with both of those narratives. I think interesting. There's definitely something brewing with the Jordan thing, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So look out for that becoming a bigger deal, or at least, whenever that lawsuit finishes, what exactly comes out of it. And then, who knows what comes out of this real ID. Let's just open it up. What are your thoughts on it, and let's go from there as to, exactly, what it is and how it's working.
I mean, I think this is obviously George Bush started this 20 years ago. So I mean, go figure, Bush would start this 20 years ago, and now Trump is ringing it out 20 years later. Um, so you have to think, I mean, you got, like I always say, Bush gave you 9/11, and then, Trump gave you COVID. Here you have the Republican conservative side doing this yet again. Just this is uh, that affiliation while we're just talking about how they do these things. And, this is just, I see this being a lot of, um, I mean, it is connected to relationships like we're going to talk about here in a minute as well. And this is something where it's kind of like an alternative to like the COVID jab. If you didn't get that, oh, now, well, people that didn't get that, now, we're going to bring this in. And they say how it's going to be like mandatory in like 2 years. You won't be
Mhm.
able to fly and go in government buildings and stuff. And, say you got to go to court or something, you won't be able to get in. So, then I guess you're just going to get arrested and go to jail and whatever the fuck they're going to do. I mean, they're trying to arrest you or however that's going to go. I mean, because you won't be able to get in. I mean, you won't be able to fly anywhere. So, you'll be able to go to Canada or Mexico or something. That's going to be about it, I'd say. And yeah, it's just it's like another way to lock people down. Basically, it's like lockdowns. It's like the vaccine. It's like the like you said. It's the way to indulge the prison system, get the prison system, in place, and it's just more motives for control, and obviously, I mean, it's like I said, it's something that's been in the works for 20 years now, and um I mean, where it's going, I mean, obviously, it all plays hand in hand with the AI and the technology and stuff, and where things are going. And yeah, it's going to be another big thing that's going to, depending on how people, which direction they take on it, it's going to cut people out of things. And um for people that it's just more ways to just, cut corners to get people, to get people weeded out, just with the AI, that's going to help them do that. This is going to help them do that. We're in 2020 with, the jab and COVID and all that. We're as far as they can get with that. This is just to, it's just putting that on steroids and just giving them more power and control. And this is something too where, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how far this goes and how it does go um, to other things too. I mean, because even like I know, like I know my driver's license is good till I think like 20. I think it's good till like it's good to like the 2030s. So I mean, it's good for a long time still. But depending on when we get to that point and what life is like and things like that, uh, what they might have you do. I mean, you might be, by then, who knows? But it's just a way to get get more control over us and stuff. And it's something where I feel like people have to just call it out for what it is. I mean, for people to want to go out and get this and do this. I mean, but that's why, they're going to make it mandatory. Oh, well, if you're going to fly, you want to get out of here, you hate America or you want to travel somewhere, well, you got to get it. Or, oh, you have to go to court. Well, you have to have this. Or, oh, it's just um, more of the same of what we've been going through, especially the last 5 years. And like I said, this has been a work in progress. It's something that's been around for a long time. And now, unfortunately, we're coming to the point where things are coming to a head and they're ushering this in. And, uh, who knows? I mean, it's going to be, I mean, who knows how far it's going to get? I mean, if people are going to go for it or not, but I think it's going to be something that there's going to be a lot more to it than just this. Um, this is just the starting point, but I think just 2 years from now, I mean, we're already looking at a different world in a lot of ways, anyways.
It almost there's a lot of things that kind of that my brain points towards um their implementation of this and how it was kind of foretold. I don't know if they're as pointed as my brain is telling me because that's just how my brain works. It's just whenever I see something, it like immediately grabs for you know pieces that similar pieces that could explain why something happened this way, or if just similar stories, similar headlines, similar ideas or whatever. And I think that a lot of this was obviously driven by, of course, you look at 9/11. Yes, okay, so that was the implementation. But did anyone after 9/11 go and like read the Patriot Act? Like,
Right.
yeah, read all of it? No. So what I think of is all of the voting issues these last two elections, the Hillary and Joe Biden, Donald Trump elections, where it's been such a focal point is being able to identify people.
Yep.
And what they'll do is they'll give you a figurehead and for the people that are behind Trump, which is, I would assume growing. I honestly, I'm not just a skeptic in everything. I understand people believe in this stuff. I pretty much live with one who's pretty mesmerized by the Trumpy, and I'm working on it. But she'll come around. Anyway, the they really pushed this whole like identify, you know, having your ID and being able to, need your ID to vote is what I'm trying to say. I just blah 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 blah. Needing
Oh
your
yeah.
ID to vote, and then they give you all these narratives about fake ballots, and these things can be somewhat true. It's not the point. The point is that the the elections are rigged. It doesn't matter about all those things. That the one camera that's on at the voting booths that shows the like Democrat vote counters like shoveling boxes into the garbage. It's just like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. People who would work, no, this is not real. This is all like fabricated nonsense. But anyway, so I think about that in our recent past as to, and then you mentioned, of course, potentially Trump being the last president. I think there's a joke in that. Uh, or there not being any more presidents potentially too. It's just like he will either, well, one, I think terminology is huge, and what is a prime minister? They're the president. What is the you know prime dictator? They're the president. So it's just like who knows? They can move. They move around, shuffle names of what becomes our nation's leader. But also, there's just the idea that voting, I think that they could abolish presidents. And I think we would quickly want presidents again. And I think that because I think that what's on the other side of that is an AI controlled, almost like, what's funny is I just saw I was gonna watch a movie with my lady, and what's that movie? Minority Report. It's like the AI can like tell the future of people's like thoughts and everything because they're all like chipped and stuff like that, so they can see the future. Or technically, they're using like human geoengineered people that are like that have foretelling capabilities to kind of like look into everybody all the time to see if they're ever going to commit a crime in the future, and if they are, they get arrested for it before they even commit the crime to keep
Yep.
the world safe. So of course you find out that it's all a rigged system, and of course, but just like AI, the Will Smith movie, all those movies, they all have the same kind of plot. But point being is, I see this, what comes out the other side of this potential, this is just going to be, first of all, I do see people going along with it because it's a necessity. I
Yep.
also, um I think of, when I see real, I've always thought about ID and just how it's so weird that, the Freudian three sides of our brain is the id, or the ID, almost
Yep.
the ego and the superego. Well, the id is our like primal sense of survival or pleasure. And so I just think that that's really interesting that you're kind of preying on this Freudian principle of people's psyche. And because I talk about this all the time, it's psychology. They know how to move us. They know how to move us up here, that not our arms and legs, that they could care less what we do with our arms and legs. They can pretty much tell what we're going to do with those. But where we're going to go and how we're going to go and how we're going to feel about it and how we're going to be thinking it's our decision, that they love to be able to control that. And this is just another form of it. And it's just the first thing to usher in the beast system. And I say the first thing, but there's been many other things. I remember when I first got or had to renew my license, last, they offered, would you like to get a real ID? So they were, they've already been pushing these things for years, like years and years. Um, but as far as, it being federally enforced, uh, apparently that was 4 days ago. And yeah, you're right. We'll see how it pans out. But like if that's any question, I do see it. I see people going right along with it because in their immediate future, they don't see a problem with it. They don't see what it represents and what it means that we just keep going along with every single thing that they pull out of their ass, especially when this is like the late stage planning from an obvious planned attack on our country by our government. But then to pull but look, you should get a real ID because of it. Oh yeah. But why? I thought we're safe right now too. And, these measures were so that, things don't happen. It's just like, what's been happening? All the plane crashes have been by American pilots. So I don't know. I don't know what the I almost feel safer knowing that there's like some Middle Eastern pilot that's only been flying 2 years because they can make insane aerial maneuvers. They can fly a plane 2 feet off the ground in a straight line right into a federal building, into the Pentagon. These guys are aces, bro. I'd much rather be like, hey, I want to see a turban next time I go on a plane in my pilot.
Yeah, and I mean, in the vaccine was a tester too of people that are going to get that, people that are going to do this, and obviously it's all connected, and with AI and stuff where things are going. I mean, now oh well, oh you got a YouTube channel, you talk about gematria, you watch oh, you watch Zachary K. Hubbard, you watch RPM Trey Vietnam. You're a terrorist. That's what this is going to be. That's what this is. It's just like AI and the cameras and things like that. I mean, where those things are going and how that's going to be. I mean, that's what this is going to be. I mean, it's just another method to the madness, and this is something where it's another hand. It's oh well, the vaccine, you didn't like that. Well, how about this ID instead? The vaccine, people don't like needles, but the ID, well, it's not too bad. That's just an ID. It's a different look. It's the people don't see that it's the same. It's the same result, but it's a different look. It's people once again don't see it, and I keep saying 2 years from now when this really becomes mandatory 2027, uh the big push. I mean, things are going to be completely different by 2027. I mean, we got major things that, and of course this would be ushered under Trump, and this is what he's going to push, and there's going to be a huge there's going to be a lot of stuff to go along with this, no matter what happens. This is going to be a very multifaceted move. And when you get to January 2029, like I keep saying, I mean, where are we? I mean, I just don't see anyone else. I mean, and again, who knows if Trump will even finish the term? With these fake assassinations and all this stuff. I mean, very well could be something like that. But I mean, I just feel like this is kind of the point where I do believe things come to a head, because you have to look at what they're pushing. And um this is going to be, oh well, this person's a terrorist, this person's a bad guy. I mean, this person doesn't even vote, that's a terrorist. I mean, you got to at least vote Republican or
Mm.
Democrat, or you're a terrorist. I mean, why aren't you a registered voter? You don't love America? Well, then you better leave, you better get out of here.
Ooh.
Like, that's what this is
Ooh.
going to be. This is going to be a brand new ultimate divide, just like the vaccine was. Go back 20 years ago, nobody gave a fuck. 10 years ago, nobody cared if you had a vaccine or not. Now it's, oh, you look on the dating sites, oh well, this person's vaccinated, this person ain't. It brought it up in there, and that's how this is going to be. Oh, you don't got the real ID? I got mine. Look at me, I'm beautiful
Mhm.
here. Look at my beautiful picture. They're going to make it cool, they're going to make it hip. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely not good at all, and it's definitely I believe this is that point where we are entering that end game. I mean, and I believe they're trying to pull the checkmate. I mean, I believe this is. I mean, AI is going to do it regardless of whatever. I mean, but this is going to be hand in hand with AI. So this is just going to help them out and make it easier. But I just think there's, like you said, way too many people are just going to go for it and comply because, I mean, why not? I mean, you got to get that ID so you can go vote for 2029. There's a selection or not.
And it's all like you said, it's multifaceted. So you're gonna have, if look at what Trump is like kind of doing. It's not saying he is doing it, but let's just assume that
Right.
that's what I mean. Is he's kind of like, from what you can understand potentially, is he's kind of like trickling down the authority, right? It's not just he's at least it's a stage to look that way, that he's taking power out of the hands of the top of the federal government, and he's kind of trying to wanting it to go more stateside, like school and all the education, all that stuff. Of course he's going to be flying in an F-47, so he's good,
Yeah.
but I don't think anyway. So by the end of this, the next vote, it could be that voting isn't for presidents. It very well could be that voting is made automated, to where your comptrollers and your local authorities, they're AI driven. And yeah, you still have human enforcement because we're not China yet, but RoboCops are coming. But
Oh yeah.
in the meantime, you'll have automated responses by the government. Automated. Like, first of all, a lot of them already are. Let's be honest. A lot
Oh
of them
yeah.
already are. It's so hard to navigate. Like, if you get a ticket, the court system's like half automated, but because it's only half automated, it's absolute garbage. And anyway, so there's you're going to have this level of automation to where it'll be voting, and it'll be look at what people are used to. They're used to being online on Twitch and on YouTube and all these things. Like, how often they're breeding. You got to think about the generations. We're not talking about us. It'll be us for a little while, but before you know it, we're going to be phased out.
Oh
It's
yeah.
going to be all these kids now who are used to online polls and like real-time voting in little polls on their Twitch streams and things of that nature, and on their TikToks. That is going to be how the world is ran for them. And so that's how it's going to work. And at that point, you'll have this, it'll be a false sense of control, obviously, because you'll think, just like in the online poll. First of all, if you're on a Twitch stream with 100,000 viewers and they put out a poll, you also can't know if the results of the poll weren't fixed. Who could know that? You could easily, as a Twitch streamer, rig the results of a poll to just do what you wanted all the time. If you had 100,000 people in chat, who's going to go and say, "Hey, did you vote this? Did you vote this? Oh my God, it's rigged." So no, there is, but my point being is that's going to be for everything. But you're gonna have a bunch of people that think that felt their vote matter in an online setting. And then, there won't be going to polls. There'll be some other reason not to go to polls. And who knows? The next terrorist acts could be on domestic soil, right? The next terrorists could be, like you said, us. They could be, not saying we are going to be doing these things, but like, we could, the next terrorists could be their contrived stories about, you know, people bombing voting booths that are primarily Democratic or Republican. You know what I mean? And it won't be some like Russian sleeper cells. It'll be Todd Gilden and Jason Clark are the
Yep.
perpetrators. So I almost want to run the numbers on those names, but that'd be weird. Anyway, but yeah, so and that's how they'll drive that narrative to be like, okay, we're abolishing voting booths. And I'm not saying voting booths are correct. Those are rigged too, but it's they're peeling back. They're peeling back all the things they use to catch hook, line, and sinker our generation. They're pulling those things back in turn for the next generation that they're going to sink their line out, or set their line out for the next generation. And that's how they've always done it. That's how they've
Yep.
always done it. Before there was computers, why did everybody fall in line? How come everybody was falling in line before any kind of like before stores had digital cameras posted up at their at every store and every corner? Why are we all falling in line? There was control mechanisms then that that they've always used. And for the most part, I would say that, I'm not trying to sit here and say there shouldn't be lawlessness, but and that we should just be breaking into places or anything like that. I'm just saying what kept the structure in place. It's not technology, it's psychology.
Yeah, and that's where like we're what we're saying. I mean, what this is um this to me is the real definition of you're gonna own nothing to be happy, because there's no way we get to 2030 and it's just, oh, you're gonna own nothing to be happy and things are the same. No, they're gonna do stuff and this is what they're gonna do. And this is the real true meaning of it, because think about 5 years from now, how many people are going to have, how many people are going to have the vaccine, how many people are going to have the real ID and whatever else there's going to be, and it's going to happen. I mean, they're going to have 100%. They said this year, 2025, they're going to have 100% total control of the world and the weather and everything.
Mhm.
And that's going to be where, everything by 2030, they're going to have everything lined up, ready to go, whatever it's going to be. I mean, you're going to have nothing to be happy, because you're already going to be 100% on their system. They're going to have 100% control of you because you already are on their control, and just going to hand it to them. I mean, it's not even going to be. This is what I'm saying is it's the under the table hand. I mean, and it's so no one's seeing it, but they don't understand it. Some people just they don't see and understand the agenda. They don't. And if they do see the agenda, or they do see this as a controlled demolition, there's so many people they know that uh, the revolution just isn't going to happen because of things like this. I mean, how many people will just do this because oh, it's just, why not do it? I mean, instead of saying no, people have a hard time saying no. They have a hard time standing up. They have a hard time going against things. They just want to do it and get it over with. You don't have people that are going to put up a fight, and they already know that. So it's just, I mean, it's the psychology of it all. I mean, they have our psychology. They know how we think. They know how we act. They know how we do things, and this is the problem. And unfortunately, you have um, way too many people that are already. I mean, how many people already in the last 4 days have went out and got this? How many people have already got it before 4 days ago? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, people are always, they want to be ahead of the curve. They want to be on top of everything. But unfortunately, it's people don't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, and just a quick, date calculation is, from the anniversary of 9/11, uh or from this what were they calling it? Deadline. Not deadline, huh? From this deadline to the anniversary for 9/11 is 127 days, which is hilarious because they called 9/11 the new Pearl Harbor. And of
Yep.
course, Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th, 127. So I just thought that was a little interesting that that date calculations they had there.
Yeah, this all planned 20 years ago, and even before that, they had it all ready to go.
Another, I guess, where we can kind of sort of attack this whole discussion of relationships as well is how do we we are not assimilators, in my opinion. Me and you are not the types that are just going to assimilate to the rest of the world. I haven't already I've already passed or failed, whichever way you want to look at it, that test of, COVID. And I did not assimilate, and I'm paying the price. I don't think I'm paying any price. In fact, I feel, you know, free now. And, especially when you can see the chains. When you don't see the chains, you don't understand your bondage. But when you can finally see them and take them off, it's almost like, there's like a psychology trick to where it's just like all you got to do is tell a person the door is locked and they won't even try to open it. It's kind of like that. So, now that I'm, free from that path, if you will, uh, it makes it hard to imagine. It doesn't make it hard at all. It's impossible to imagine assimilating into any kind of system or, forced interactions or anything like that with, the kind of people that would have, 3 dots on their arm and a new ID in their wallet, bragging about it, or, lining their kids up to do the same. I'm really, and in my head, by the way, I'm kinda set. Like, I don't have any plans to, like, take anything away from my life. All I have plans to do is, like, add to it and continue on the path I'm on. I have no, like, trajectory where it just, like, shoots up or shoots down, in my opinion, in my so, whereas you know, adding a significant other would be a huge trajectory movement, and I think this is a continuation sort of what we were talking about last week. That was more of a personal approach, but now we're talking about basically drones. And what's the deal? Do you take a drone in and try to fix it? Like, do you try to like re-chip the drone, or do you s- do you need a baseline to start with till you find yourself at 45 and still trying?
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. I mean, and it is. It's a very interesting concept because it's like I'm kind of at this fork in the road, really. I mean, not just my age, but the time too. That not only that who knows how many years I've left and what I've and where I am and just the way the world is. But yeah, because you have to look at what they've done to people in the agenda region, and that's why you have um say like you said, I mean, because like I said, I don't see that we have personally like 15-20 years to go before shit goes down. Now I don't know what that's gonna look like, but again, I mean, it's like I was saying kind of last episode too, um it's just that I'm at a point in my life where I see things, from what I used to see things, the world was different, but I seen this coming, but the world was different. Uh, you go another 5-10 years, the world's going to be much, much more different. So, and you look at how many people are in, like I was saying, are in kind of the same realm that I'm in. Um, whether or not dating and relationships are much of a thing anymore, even if it's, a thing for you. And yeah, I mean, it's like I sit here and I think, okay, 10, 15, 20 years from now, say I'm not even uh still not married or had any kids or anything or any, nothing happened like that, but how many people will actually even come into my life that could even be a possible, um, someone that could be a possible relationship type person. And I've been saying this too, what they've done to people. I mean, you got, and even to look at the men, what they've done to a lot of men. I mean, they've turned so many men into simps, and now they're paying for, you know, uh, OnlyFans and stuff, which wasn't even a thing, when I was 21, and I was doing things. There wasn't even OnlyFans, and now you got people that'll pay for that when guys that'll pay for that when you could just watch porn for free. And that didn't make sense to me. If you'd have told me this 9 years ago and I was 21, be like, yeah, this is what's about to happen. Like a year from now, this is where the world's going. I'd be like, that doesn't even make any sense. So why do people want to do that? Like this is what I'm saying. And um, just the trajectory of things. I mean, to sit here and think about whether or not I see someone come in my life, it's just, and I see this agenda moving so fast. I mean, and like I said, I mean, you still do see, good looking, attractive women and stuff, and you still do see um, good looking people and stuff. But I'm noticing too, it's more of like the older people, kind of my age and older and stuff. And like I was even just talking to you about before the show started tonight, my buddy sent me a couple pictures of people that I went to school with. And you want to talk about an agenda? My God, the way these people look. I mean, there's a kid I went to school with, Nick Marinick. He's like about 500 pounds now.
Without Nick.
Um, Another kid named Noah Seedsma. He's not even. I think he's 28 still. He looks like he's 70. He's bald. He doesn't have any hair. His hair is like gray. He looks like he's been strung out, and he's got this kid on his shoulders in this picture. I'm just like, wow, that looks devastating. Like that is
Oh
fucked,
no.
man. Like, good God, this dude looks fucking awful. I mean, and I just see what they've done to people, man. It is just, I mean, it is crazy. It is insane, and you know it's the agenda too is they've got it to the point where the problem is what they've done is it's obviously everything too. It's you talk about the court system, you talk about marriage or having kids or any of that stuff. It's all 100% in favor of the women. um they've done everything to destroy the man. Men are now, set to fail, and women are too. And again, it's not a women thing, it's not a guy thing, it's an agenda thing that has been pushed on both genders. But it's how they have unleashed this, and this is something where, like I keep saying too, like the more the women that I'm more into and attracted to, it's more of the older women nowadays, like the 30, 40, 50 year olds, because they've just destroyed the younger ones, and it's so hard to um even I mean, there still are, like I said, good looking women, but it's so hard to find anyone even decent. And like you said, I mean, am I going to be 45 and still trying to find, like kind of like my first real girlfriend or relationship? And this is why too, like I said, I never really had a real girlfriend or relationship too. um and I've been with a lot of women. I can't even, I'm guessing my body count somewhere between like 50 and 100. But this is why I haven't dated in the last 5 years too, like I've said too, and why I've been the way that I've been, because um it's just been something that I've just seen just become just repulsive. And it's not even uh the way things are shaping up. I mean, you have, like I said, the men now that, when I was a teenager, when I was in my early 20s, like you wouldn't think that men would have fallen off, and if have would have fallen the way that they have. Um, that they'd be giving into OnlyFans and like spending all this money this way, and doing all this. And I mean, why would you do that when you could just watch porn for free? And what they've done, and with the social media and the dating sites too. Um, Obviously, the social media dating sites, it's also obviously rigged against men. And um, the way they've, and they've made, like we are talking about too. I mean, they've made marriage, kids, houses, all this stuff unaffordable, and to the point where women make more money, the men don't make as much money, and then uh, the men can't even afford to do things anymore, and then so a lot of them can't afford the kids or the family or the marriage anyways, or the woman, and and if you're not, and then a lot of them still are having kids, but that's, they're bringing up broken families, and the kids are homeless on the street. And it's causing more problems. And you got the people that do have money or could have kids, but they don't want to because the world's so fucked up and so bad, or they just don't want to. Maybe they just wouldn't be good parents, or they, you know, for whatever reason that they're not having the kids. So you have this other issue as well. Um, and you also have, uh, of course, the transgender, the gay, and all this other stuff that really wasn't a thing either when I was in my teens and early 20s. I know, like when I was in school, this stuff was not a thing. And I mean, it's been over a decade since I've been in school, and but I mean, this wasn't even, I mean, even back, 2016, it wasn't even really much of a thing, and it's just exploded. And the way people are now, I mean, it's so hard to even try and talk to most people. I mean, and what they've done to most people. I mean, the people that I do see and about, I mean, almost all of them fit kind of the description of things I talked about in the last episode too, with the way kind of women look now. They're just more masculine. They look like men. A lot of them are just, they're tatted up. Um, like even today I was at the gym, and there was one decent looking girl in there. She was with this guy, and there was another one too. I mean, she was, she was all right. There's like this redhead chick. She didn't look too bad. And there's this blonde in there. I mean, she looked pretty good too, but I mean, she was all just tatted up and stuff. And that's pretty much what you see. And then you see all these other ones too. It's like, if they're not all tatted up and just all masculine, they got like big gauges in their ears and stuff, things like that. I mean, I don't got no tattoos. I don't got no piercings. I'm not into that stuff. And then you just see too, I mean, you have the overall, just what they've done, like I said, with the social media, the dating sites, and how they've taken away, the in-person meeting and trying to form regular dates and relationships, things like that. So now you kind of have this mix of, people that are alone or loners, or kind of, sigmas, kind of like myself, but it's not even to the point where it's, oh well, this person just wants to be alone. No, it's literally best for most people at this point, and a lot of people, to just be alone, because just the way things are and how bad things have gotten. I mean, um women are supposed to be, they're supposed to bring, uh the man up. They're supposed to improve the man's life. Supposed to be there for their man, and comfort their man, and show respect to their man, and um give their man what he needs. And they've totally stripped that and taken that away. And for that reason, you have so many men that just either can't find anybody, and they're just alone, or they just choose or want to be alone. And because there's women that were supposed to be, uh, of course, this is never supposed to happen. Women are supposed to be, uh, beneficiary to their men, and now they've just become detriments. And like I said, it's, and the men also understand, like I've said too, the way the court systems are, the marriage, the divorces and kids and all that stuff. It's all 100% in favor of the woman, and the men know, the risk and all that. And a lot of them don't want to take that. So you also have too, on top of all of this, like I've said, the genders and stuff, the reversals, and now men are women and women are men. And um, they've just, I mean, and it's like this, with work and jobs and careers. Women are getting these positions, are making more money. Uh, so you have the financial aspect of the relationships, the money system being part of it as well. And on an overall perspective too, I mean, you have not just, I mean, declining birth rates for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's just like I said, you got people that can't afford it, people that, the way the world's going, and there's people that they might have maybe money or success, something, but maybe they realize that marriage and kids and things like that and trying to do that stuff isn't for them, or it won't work for them. So, and then the people that do, I mean, the kids and the families are strung out on the streets. So you have this just absolute chaos of the situation. And you have too, I mean, you got people that, um, like I said, they're doing well, and they might have money, they might have success. I know a lot of people that are around my age, maybe a little bit older, or whatever, but they see how bad things are, and they, maybe they still want to try, maybe they're still trying to do things, but I am to that point too. Like I've said, I mean, I don't know if I ever do see. I mean, I don't care if I necessarily ever like date or get in a relationship. I mean, it'd be great if it happened, if but a lot of people understand that they want to leave the country too, and that's another big thing. That's why you got a lot of people leaving the country. They're going overseas to find that. They're going out to Asia. They're going to find Asian women, which, I mean, I generally like Asian women and like other women. I mean, I do like white girls too, but I generally know that sometimes maybe like other races too can be easier to deal with, especially Asian women, stuff like that. Um, I mean, I've been with all kind of women. It doesn't matter. Big, small, tall, short, skinny, fat. It doesn't matter. There's so many different ways a person can look, and so many different things that can be attractive. And you have so many people that, so many men that are just leaving the country. They want to get out of here and stuff. Um, they don't want to be here no more. So you have that agenda as well. People, passport bros, um, which kind of, goes back to what we're just talking about, the real ID and how that fits in as well. And yeah, I mean, yeah, these things are all connected, and it's all one of the same. And you just see the melting pot that we're in. And yeah, I am to that point where I really don't know. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't know where I'm going to be by the end of the year, a year from now, 2 years from now, what's going to happen. I mean, I'm not trying to really find anybody. I mean, if anyone comes to my life, they come to my life. Like I said, I mean, if I want to go have some fun, I can go have some fun. I can go do what I want to do. I mean, I'm still a decent looking guy. I mean, I sure don't look like a lot of people I went to school with, and a lot of these younger guys that are just gone nowadays. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we really are at an amazing time period. I mean, and people just, I know a lot of people my age, a little bit younger, they kind of see this stuff and they're calling it out, but a lot of them just, they don't understand how big and how deep this agenda truly goes. But I know a lot of people do see what's going on, and it's, for me, I'm lucky because I seen this coming, but I didn't see, like, I seen this coming when I was a kid. I just didn't see all this like gender reversal stuff and all this. That's where it's a lot worse. But also, just like I've said, just the stuff that I have to deal with in my own life and other people, and the things that the phone calls I get, the text messages, the stuff like that, and just other people's lives and stuff and just the things I have to deal with in my own life. Like I said, I mean, it's there's so many red flags, and it's a lot of men today just they want to be alone, they want to do their own thing, and it's not, it's pretty much a lot, the only thing a lot of them can do, because what else can a lot of them do because of the agenda? I mean, it's not their own fault. I mean, it's, I mean, they've made everything this way. I mean, they've pushed us down um these aisles, these rabbit holes, and they've made things so just impossible. And you see it. I mean, you see it on the youth. I mean, the Gen Z. I mean, I'm basically, if you look at my timeline, as it says, I'm like a millennial still. It's kind of up for interpretation, but I mean, you almost might as well put me in the Gen Z. I mean, I'm pretty much right there. I mean, um, depending how you look at it. But yeah, I mean, this was such an agenda in such a way that you have to look at it, how, why I've talked about that. It's not either person's fault. I know a lot of people, like I said, these other YouTubers, they want to talk about relationships. They want to say, well, whose fault is it? Who do you blame? It's like, well, it's obvious what this is. It's not. I don't blame the women, but I can call the women out on stuff. I don't blame the men, but I call the men out on stuff. But I mean, it's obvious what it is. I mean, you brought the smartphone, you brought the phones in, you brought the dating apps in, you brought the social media in. Um, you brought these, they've weakened men, turned them into simps. They've made women into men, and everybody's just at each other, and it's become an epidemic. And now, we have to deal with the consequences. But the thing is, it is getting worse, and the reason it gets worse is because people just don't call it out for the agenda that it is, and it's unbelievable to me that people can't see it and won't call it for what it is. Because if we could reach this point and we could just point the finger at the right people and get things rolling, a lot of people say, "Oh," and the reason, if people are saying there ain't going to be a revolution and stuff, and that's exactly why. Um, People just don't simply want to fight for life, and it's not that I'm fighting for you know things that have kind of been taken away. It's more, I'm just now at this point, I'm just fighting for survival. I mean, they've put us into survival mode, unfortunately, um and now we have to deal with the repercussions. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, things weren't that hard, they weren't that expensive, things were still pretty easy, pretty simple. But even from your age to my age, I mean, just that 5 year gap, I mean, they did a lot of things in that 5 years. They changed things quite a bit, and it's just to that point too, where now things have to unfortunately come to a head. And it is, I mean, you're seeing it, you're seeing a lot of people coming out and saying how frustrated they are and how unhappy they are with things. I mean, uh how middle people are breaking. I mean, people are cracking, people are losing it. I mean, it's depression. People are just, they don't even come outside. I mean, I can't tell how many people I know, just they sit inside all day, they don't even come outside anymore. It's unbelievable. I mean, how do you live like that? How do you deal with that? And again, that's huge. That's huge, because if you can lock someone away on their own, that's the thing with me is I might be, a loner, a lone wolf, but I'm always on the prowl. I want to go to the gym. I want to get out. I want to do things. I want to see things. They got people just locked away. They got people just put away. They don't want to even go out no more. They don't want to do anything. They don't even want to try. It's just, I'm like, wow, it's just amazing how miserable they've been able to make people. I mean, they've been able to do an amazing job of taking things away. And there's some people, like I said, I mean, you know, you give people advice like, oh, what do I do? What should you do? And like I said, I mean, I think you just got to do what's right and what's best for you. I mean, uh, a lot of people have mental illness, mental problems and stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe it's best not to, have kids and stuff if that's the case, and start families, because that stuff can manifest, it can transfer to other people and cause other problems. And then, and you're seeing other people too. I mean, that's why you have these people now. They're snapping. They're killing their wife, their husband, their kids. I mean, you're seeing more of this. I mean, you
Thinking
got more
wall.
people. Yeah, you got more people breaking down. Snapping and um doing these acts. And I'm not even talking about the ones that are scripted, like the Chris Benoit and stuff like that, and part of a bigger a bigger scene. But yeah, this is the other problem. And like I said, I mean, they've just they've made things, people don't even know how to do basic things anymore. And it's you have so many, the young women now, they have all the power. um they've handed women all the power and stuff. And now, I mean, the men have no choice, but a lot of them, like I said, they just want to leave the country. They just want to be alone or do their own thing. And the big problem too today is, like I've said too, you have to get extremely lucky. This is the big thing, is you have to get extremely lucky. And the problem with that is there's only a handful of people that are going to get extremely lucky. And that's not even just with relationships. That's with everything. That's with jobs, careers, you know, uh, cars, anything in life. I mean, if you want to make it today, you got to get extremely lucky. It's not about working hard and hard work. And that's the thing that makes me most upset about today's world, because I just want to work hard, do my job, do my thing, and just make it. But they've took that away. They've taken away hard work and doing this and doing that. You have to now get extremely lucky, and there's only a handful of people that will. And that's just the facts. And a lot of people realize that the chances and the odds just aren't in their favor. I mean, for me, it's basically, the way I would say it is, for me to even like think about, having success and, even a marriage or a family and stuff like that. I mean, I basically almost have to have the same odds of winning the lottery. And we know that's rigged, but, and, I feel like I can win it multiple times because it's so rigged, but that's basically the odds you have today. And it's getting so bad. It's getting worse. And, um, yeah, I mean, this is something where, like I said, 5, 10 years from now, um, the older I know, something they were talking about too in class was like, by like 2034, like another 9 years or so, the average age of I think the average age of people is going to be like in the 60s already, like the 50s, 60s. It's going to be older people, because there's, the younger people that they're just, Gen Z is just so screwed. I mean, it's and like I said, I mean, we're already in our 30s. I mean, we're not, we're towards, the end of our prime. We're, you know, basically already 30s. You're kind of middle age, but you're still kind of somewhat young. But with the agenda and the way things are changing, I mean, in the way people are coming up now, it's not like it was when I considered myself young and youthful in the teens and 20s. It's like, yeah, I mean, people, they're not going to do that. They're not going to go for that. It's not going to get that bad. But I didn't even have, like I said, an iPhone till I turned 19, and then I got a smartphone at 21. These kids, they grew up on it. That all they know, that's how they get around. I mean, they don't know how it used to be, how to meet people, how to actually talk to people, how to go out. Um, so yeah, you don't have, a lot of people don't have a foundation to um do anything or want to do anything. And then the ones that do, um they just don't even want to anymore. I mean, a lot of men are in my position. Like I said, I mean, how many men just want to keep going through the same thing over and over and over again? They're either going to just leave the country or just quit and give up and just do their own thing. I mean, and that's unfortunately where we are. And yeah, and the other thing is too, I mean, you have a lot of women, my age and stuff too. They've already had kids, or marriage, divorced, or just kind of already have kids. A lot of people don't want to deal with that or hook up with that. um and like I said, the men and women are supposed to work together, supposed to be a team, and supposed to do all that, but that's all been taken away. And in people today, they don't know how to do any of that. They don't know how to be a team. They don't know how to work together. And um they're taught that, oh well, the other gender's bad, and uh this gender's, or whatever. But and then the women today, I mean, they, like I said, not only do they have all the power, but it's they're the ones they're being pushed. But they're being pushed to a degree that the men don't have any chance or any say anything. So what's going to happen is you're going to have all these men, like I said, not just leave the country, but obviously we always talk about the suicide rate too. I mean, the suicide rate, and that, of course, that's more of a guy thing too. I mean, a lot of men just they're killing themselves off, committing suicide. Of course, that's part of the agenda, the depopulation. Um, destroy the men and bring the men down. And when you do that, that's how society collapses and crumbles. Of course, when the men go down, and of course that's what we have now. I mean, you never have had weaker men. And that's not saying that all the younger men are, and all men are weak, but I mean, all you do is you look around at people, and you see people are fat, obese, and out of shape and not looking good. And it's amazing. It's absolutely phenomenal what they've done. I mean, I never would have thought that a lot of people were even going to look the way they do. Um, but yeah, they've destroyed a lot of people. They've destroyed a lot of lives. And it's just, we're at the end of the road now. And like I said, something's going to have to give, because um, there's no way this can go on for another 10, 15 years. I mean, I give it like another 5, 10, but I see things rapidly escalating very quickly, I'd say, in the next 5 years for sure. Definitely the next 10, without a doubt.
All great, all great points. And I certainly see things more from your perspective, being a guy as well. And I think we've talked not at length or anything, but maybe personally, but not so much on the podcast, but just briefly about how, you know, certain things have, in a way, come easy for us. Um, you know, I, there were, in my friend group, see, this is another way that men and women are different. There is no like, I mean, there could be with other friend groups. It's a little bit gay to think that way, but we don't. I don't think of my friends as like surrounding myself with like good looking or bad looking friends. It's the looks have no, absolutely zero to do with like. It's not like you don't know. It's not like you don't have a gauge in your head, but it has nothing to do with whether or not you like hang out with a group of friends or not. But having said that, I want to present a scenario so that I can, parlay that into your mention your talk about social media and the apps because you said something interesting and I just want to give I don't I think you'll agree with me after this, but I think I'm going to amend your statement a little bit. Point being is, I would be, in group outings with my friends. There were several times where, and it's not like all my friends were like ugly or anything like that. It's not about that. It's just that for whatever reason, I was able to command a certain presence. I had they call it swag. Okay, I had swag. Let's just call it that. Even though it's a little outdated and at this cringe at this point. Whatever. I embrace the cringe in my age now. Um, to where it's just like, say there was 5 or 6 ladies around. Odds were that all 5 or 6 of the 5 to 6 ladies all looked at me. There's, 5 other dudes, but only one guy was getting looked at. And I only say that because I don't know if I've ever found myself in a position where I was like, damn, some dude's commanding way more attention than me. Maybe it's happened before. I just can't think of it. I mean, to my point, you know, certain friendships kind of came to a head because there are guys in the more desperate situation and I wouldn't do anything. In fact, there were times where I was, you know, openly adverse to the female. If anything, it emboldened them, and to that, it drives at the guy, and I could understand that. I could definitely understand it, but at the same time, I was young and it wasn't my problem. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I was like, all right, this is not my problem. It is what it is, buddy. Um, but having said that, you mentioned something about the dating apps. You said that the dating apps were geared uh, against men. Not all men. Not all men. And to
Right.
that point, you have a percentage of men who make out like bandits
Yep.
with hundreds or with the full scope, thousands of females, a
Yep.
small portion of men. Now I know that these are like Andrew Tate talking points and stuff like that, but there is reality to it. You're mentioning your youth and living it. I'm thinking about my youth and living it too. This is how that worked. That Tinder swipe. I was in the like when I was in my heyday. Let's just put it that way. It was the Tinder swipe time, and I wasn't on Tinder either. I didn't need that shit, but not to brag, but so having been on that side, it's not like I was some like crazy either. It's like, first of all, as far as I know, you didn't go to a 4-year college. I don't know how you're putting up numbers that you said, but I'm nowhere near that. But I did well in my head. But point being is those women, those they were in the hookup culture as we call it, as it's known. They're not they're not meeting someone they can serve. They're meeting someone who serves a purpose. And to that end, they also serve a purpose. And neither of those purposes are for the betterment of either one of them in the long run. It's for a brief moment. And so you have women that aren't learning what that even means. And not to mention, obviously, this agenda goes back further enough to where these girls on there, they don't got dads that are in their lives like that. And I'm not even saying they don't have dads. It's really what's really sad, what people don't talk about are the dads that support bad behavior in their children and just act as if like, oh, the 18, the law said 18. So now they can do whatever they want, and I'm just going to be over here. That drives me mad. It makes me fucking sick. I can't imagine a day to where I am not invested in my son's life and especially my daughter's life, especially with what we're talking about right now. Best fucking believe she's not going to be hanging around a dude like me when I was at that time. So not that I wasn't, in fact, I shouldn't say that. There was a time where I was a little bit more angsty with, not angsty, but of the world, I would say. But for the most part, like I was saying, a lot of it came down to the females chasing me and I would eventually relent. That's just kind of how it worked. But, that being said, it's a two-pronged attack. You have thousands of girls competing with each other, by the way, because that's how their brain works. The guys are not competing with each other. The guys, they are, but they don't think of it that way. That's the disconnect. Women compete with each other. They know it's a competition. They want to look better than every girl on that app that you're swiping on. Guys do not want to look better than every guy on that app. That's not their purpose of being on that app. That's not what they're thinking when they're signing up. They're not like, let me check my angle. Let me make sure my abs are better than Jeff's over here. I just saw his picture. Oh, damn, I got to put up a sicker picture than Jeff. Nobody's thinking that. It doesn't take that. They know if they're even in that echelon of dude. I mean, you could post a grainy photo and have, your phone blowing up for the next 3 hours and you have your pick of the litter. That's just how it works. Whereas it's completely the opposite on the other side. Any mid-level or mid to low level or high mid to low level, you're picking up the scraps that if there is any. And then you're not to mention that the people that are on those apps, men and women alike, they ain't worth the shit because they're on those apps. They don't realize that doing that is taking away from their character. So, yes, they're in the hookup culture and they're living for the moment. That's all fine and good. But you're not going to understand how to serve a man, as you put it. And those men are not going to understand how to lead a woman. Both things are failing in this scenario. And then you have guys like you who have a sense of what they would want to do with a woman, how they would want to lead them. But now, honestly, it's this digital age is stuck you with. I wouldn't recommend dating apps at all. That they're really not for fruitful endeavors, and I think you know that. Um, but we kind of alluded to it last week. You're kind of stuck either, like I mentioned, kind of like fixing up a drone, like rechipping the drone, or preying on that needle in the haystack, that unicorn. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to, kind of push a little bit back on the idea that, I know that's not what you're saying. You even mentioned later on too that, you understand you're giving a perspective, so you're sticking with that perspective from what I assume and pretty sure I know. But it's obviously, like you said, it's multifaceted. It attacks the women in the same way it attacks the men. And you even mentioned um taking the men out of the equation. And I've had multiple arguments with older women, my mom and my sister, and all these things about explaining to them, they cannot handle hearing that women were at fault with that, like World War One and the whole socio-economical shift, putting women in the workplace. They can't handle it. No matter what you say to them, you could say, okay, the dudes, I even tell them, I'm like, the dudes were wrong. They should not have allowed themselves to be drafted. They should have stood up to their government and said, no, F this. We're not leaving our family to go die for this shitty cause. We fucked up in that way. But we did go and die with, I'm sure, the sentiment, the on mass, the sentiment was, I'm protecting my wife and kids, or wife, or girlfriend, or family. I'm going to go martyr myself and go get dumped out on a beach in front of a machine gun. Of course, that doesn't make any fucking sense, but that's what happened. Of course, I'm sure they didn't think that that was going to happen when the day they went to boot camp, but that was where dudes fucked up. But then every female, every girl I talked to, they cannot handle the fact that women en masse fucked up and just allowed the government to shift their position in the world to, workers, and to now boss bitches today. That's all an evolution of that. But it's for whatever reason, it's just this weird thing that it's like a stigma they can't give up. And I think a lot of it has to do with just like talking points since they're a kid. Even when they're just sitting on the carpet playing with their blocks, the news is saying feminist talking points, and it's just being absorbed into their subconscious to where they literally think, that their dad is the patriarchy, that their uncle is the patriarchy. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. It's the system versus us. You can apply any word you want to the villain. I don't care if you call the villain the patriarchy, the matriarchy, the oligarchy. Apparently, all these are archy words, but whatever you want to call it, as long as you like you said, point the finger at the right thing. And that's what this whole agenda is for, is to get people to point at the wrong thing, pull the wrong person down with them, and we are doing the job for them. That is the end goal, is we're doing the job for them. It's like it's incredible how it works, but I think, upcoming here, I could potentially maybe start working on a PowerPoint on psychology, because we talk about it enough, and I think it's due that we actually show not only examples of course everybody wants to talk about MK Ultra now. It's the biggest one of the biggest hot trending topics nowadays, but now that it doesn't matter, and it's going to become an Illuminati thing, just like Illuminati got brought up when it was fully 100% real, but they were able to just capture it, turn it into a meme, and now it's a joke. And
Yeah.
so I'm sure that that's what's going to happen to MK Ultra. People will just be like, "Oh yeah, 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 it wasn't what you think it was," in 5 years. But there's so much more that goes into psychology, and we kind of slightly tapped it, and it's gotten my juices flowing a little bit more to talk about it, because really what boils down to everything we're talking about is the psyche and the psychology. And we're going to have a whole new generation coming up that is so far disconnected. It's like the gap keeps widening. The disconnect
Yeah.
between the last gap keeps widening. People in the 30s coming up in the 40s could understand the people in the 30s. The people in the 50s, they were starting to dance and move their hips. So they were like, oh, the 40s people were like, oh, whoa. And then the 50s people were like, lighten up. The 60s people, were like shooting up. And they're like, the
Yeah.
dancers were like, yo, like light shooting up. And then, 70s was, let's have sex at the park. Then the 80s is, I don't know. I don't know. I could probably make a nice um, slideshow for each generation. But the point being is the disconnect widens each one, and that was by design. It doesn't mean that humans were meant and going to do that. This is not natural. We should be close to our family. Not to say that family's everything and they're above everything they do. No, they're just other humans. They're just other humans with closer DNA to you. But it should be assumed and the mantle should be forged on your heart that your job is to bring up those around you. And that can extend to your neighbors and everything like that. Not everyone has sisters, brothers, and family. Has to do with your fellow man, really, because your family is your fellow man. Your the dude in Russia right now is your fellow man. The guy, they're all your fellow. We're all fellow men. We need to, but like I said, the gap is just widened so far that it is almost. I don't want to be super pessimistic. It just feels beyond repair. I'm sensible. I'm a reasonable person. I know I talk big on here. It's not to say that I go outside and I'm just like, yo, talking to the younger generation about all their flaws and everything like that. I'm flawed. We're all flawed. We've all, we're all put into a system and stuff like that. But having said that, the disconnect's only going to get wider. Just imagine the few kids of our kids. It's it's going to be unimaginable. They're going to be I don't want to say that it's unfixable, not fixable, but it's like it's the gap's too wide, but that's what they want. They want, and what I say is, the global elites, whatever you want to call them, the Jesuit order, the Catholic Church, the religion, the religious monarchs of our world, the psychological rulers, um, they want us further as far apart to where we don't we to until we can't see a resolve between each other. And if it gets any bigger, what at this stage, I think right now you could have a family member that I think you could find this story somewhere. A family member going off to fight for the side that is against their family's principles. So let's say we had a civil war. I think there'd be enough family members that would say, my family's wrong. I'm going to go fight to kill families like mine that are wrong, even though they're the product, the son, the daughter, or the he, she of that family. They would be willing to go and fight against their family's principles. And that's what is that not civil war? That's I mean, and to that end, you might even have a daughter or son willing, say it ever came to it, and the boot was on the neck, kill their own family in an ideological war of that nature. So I think it's that get because that gap is so wide, people don't understand even their parents. Their parents don't understand them. They don't understand their parents, and it's a lot easier to fathom acting, using violence on someone you don't understand or don't know than somebody you do. Although they would say that like serial killers are always like people but anyway, this is I'm talking about more like on mass, and they're moving us towards civil war, and I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I would say we're in the preliminary stages for sure right now. So what are your give me your closing arguments on this topic, and we will this is just going to be another bridge to build for hopefully we have King Richard next week, and I know he's going to have a lot to say with what he's been going through his last couple of weeks and things like that, but then we'll see what he has to say with because I'm sure I know he's honed into the agenda, and so
Yeah, it's like I said. I mean, the thing is, I mean, the way I see it too, it's like I said. I mean, the problem is for even like a guy like me. Like I said, I mean, I know it's the same for everybody. I mean, like I just said, I mean, I have less than a 1% chance, or way less than a 1% chance of making stuff work with somebody. And you have to really think about that. And like I said, I mean, if I'm gonna, if I'm gonna take it, if I think that, oh, this woman or this person's the person or this woman's the woman, I already got to have my lottery ticket in there. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna win this thing. You have
Mhm.
to really look at where they have how bad things are and where they have people. And this is the thing that, um, and again, it's on all fronts. It's not just the division. It's the money division. It's being priced out of everything. Um, and then just people realizing things aren't worth anything anymore, and how against everybody and how against just how we've been pitted against each other. And the fact that, like I said, women, they're supposed to be, bringing men up, supposed to be, bringing us up, and working with us, and there's supposed to be teamwork and cooperation there, and they stripped that away, and you don't have that um connection. People don't want to come together, work together, they want to build together. That it's just uh and that's just the thing. I mean, it doesn't matter. um you brought up a great point too. It's not even the looks that matter. It doesn't matter what you look like. I mean, like I said, I mean, you have to get extremely lucky, and only so many people are going to get extremely lucky. And that's with everything. It's not just a woman or relationship. It's a career. It's a job. It's your car, everything. I mean, you have to get extremely lucky with everything. And uh, they've just we're at this point where humanity is we've been stripped down. We've been stripped away from what we truly are, what we're supposed to be. And the thing is, I mean, we're at that pinnacle point where, um, if you took away uh, the technology, you took away the cell phone, you took away all this stuff. I mean, people, yeah, they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't have a leg to stand on, and that's the big problem. I mean, they broke us down so much that everyone's living in the digital fantasy world, and or that's how at least a lot of people are profiting. I mean, like, I think I forget what the stat is, but it's like, I think it's like 20%. I know of like, I know like younger women too. They're doing OnlyFans, but that's just being reported, so it's probably close to about 50, um, or half, because it's just exploded. But yeah, that's the world you live in, and that's why, like I said, I mean, my advice, like I said, for people, um, just you got to do what you got to do. I mean, just whatever you think. I mean, it's if you think something's right, if you think it's wrong, you want to give something a try. I don't tell anybody how to live or what to do. I mean, you be you and do what you want to do, and the best of luck to you. But that's just my advice. I mean, just yeah, you just got to do what you got to do and live how you got to live, and uh, be who you want to be. I mean, it's I don't really push or advocate for anything anymore. It just kind of is what it is. Um, Pieces just kind of have to fall how they have to fall, and that's just pretty much it. I mean, everyone's kind of in a different boat or ship, if you will. I mean, everyone's kind of the way things are now. Everything's all topsy turvy. Everything's just become weird. Um, and like I said, most marriages and most relationships aren't any good. I mean, most of them are toxic and they're bad. They're just, I mean, they're not even worth being in. And that's why you have some people that are isolated and alone. It's not that some people they want to choose to be alone. Some people they have no other choice. Some people they're stuck being alone. Some people it's the best option for you. And it's just like, um, yeah, they've just kind of put people down in these boxes. They stripped everything away, and they're just stripped people down, and that's what we have. And yeah, I mean, until people come out of the boxes, the shadows that they've been put into, and until they point the finger, like I keep saying, at the right people and these other relationship channels that talk about this stuff, who's to blame, whose fault is it? And oh, it's modern women, oh, it's men, or oh, it's this, it's that, it's whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter unless you call out the real root of the problem and where all this stems from and who's controlling it, who's making all this happen. And at this point, I mean, it's gonna. The only way I could see us really having a chance, it's gonna have to come from people of our time. You know, the 30-year-old plus. Because if you're any younger than me, I mean, you don't know the way it used to be, the way uh, the way it once was. All these youth they've just grown up into a Gen Z. Um they've grown right up into it. I mean, they didn't really have a chance. They didn't really have a shot. They were just born into it. And the only people that really can make a difference now is those probably from like the age of like 30 to probably about 50. Um, it's kind of the sweet spot. People that are older, they're kind of too old to do anything. So I feel like that's kind of the sweet spot, is probably about age 30 to 50 that really have a shot of really doing much. That's kind of where if there is any revolution, or if there is any pushback, or there is any hope, it's got to come from around those people. Because younger people, they didn't really, they got screwed. They didn't really have a chance. And the older people, they don't really care. The boomers and stuff, they kind of fucked us all and stuff too. So yeah, that's kind of where it is. I mean, it's kind of the point I think to wrap up with tonight, is just the overall, um the, where relationships are, not just personally in my personal opinions, but also the way the world has constructed, and or maybe destructed relationships,
Mm-hmm.
um torn them down, um torn them up, and blown them up, whatever you want to say. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, it's just on all fronts. I mean, it's just everything. And it's such an important topic. That's why we're going to keep going back to it, because relationships, that it's the fundamental thing of everything. Relationships are the fundamental part of life. And you take that away, you mess that up, you destroy that. um Obviously humanity can't continue on, especially when you're being priced out everything anyways as it is. I mean, that's, like I said, that's why I brought that up tonight too, the currency deal of it, and just the overall, just what you see every day. I mean, like I said, I mean, and that's, you know I think the last part I wanted to is just like the way you just got to look at what they've done to people. Just, yeah, looks aren't everything, but um and that's why you have, like I said, you have that top 1% or top 10%, men on, social media dating apps, that, they're that's what everyone's after. But um the people that I know personally, that, maybe I haven't seen them in a decade or more. I mean, I just look at how bad they look. I mean, that right there tells me everything I need to know. Like, the pictures, like I said, my buddy showed me of people I went to school with. I mean, it's absolutely unfathomable. They did that to people, and I mean, I'm just blown away that people look the way they do, and they can do this to people. And this is what disgusts me the most. This is what makes me the most sick. This is, to see, him holding up that kid on his shoulders when he looks like he's messed out, stuck on the streets for decades, and to think he's 28 when he looks 70, and to think another kid is uh, around the same age, and he's like 500 pounds. I mean, it's just like, good God. And these were normal, decent looking people. These are, a decade ago. Now look at them. I mean, can you imagine what another decade's going to be of this? I mean, I can't fathom another decade of it. I mean, it's just, it's despicable. And this is what needs to be called out. And like I said, until people call it out for the agenda, until they call it out for what it is and what it's become, is nothing's going to change. And these other people, these relationship channels, I mean, these other people that talk about this, they have to start bringing this up and mentioning in it. If there's any hope.
Yes, and I'll leave that, food for thought, and this is definitely stuff we can talk with Richard next week. But one thing is for sure is those relationship channels are part of the system. So
Oh yeah.
they're going to keep the women chasing the chads, and the chads chasing the chatties chasing the baddies. So they're going to keep that up as much as possible, because they pretend to call things out so that they can so people think that. Let's just get into it next week. Anyway,
People that don't want
Yeah.
to do the real deep diving.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoyed our candid discussion again. And um, quick recap: look out for not to say this race means anything points wise, but if there's bets on the line, not to encourage betting or anything like that, but just to keep an eye out for Jordan's racing team and possibly even Denny's Hamlin uh, in this All Star race because not only is it is it on the in the suburbs of North Carolina. Uh, some numbers lined up from the beginning of the stream if you wanted to get, or for the episode if you wanted to check it out for Michael Jordan, and he's been in the news heavy with the NASCAR, so we'll see. And then also with us being in 201 town, it's always a chance for Hendrick Motorsports gang to do it again. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Larson got another one. It wouldn't mean as much, but maybe you'll find out that he'll win $1 million and he'll donate half of it to the funeral fund for his PR manager or something. I could see that headline being printed. So anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. Leave any comments in the obviously in the comment section, but also feel free to email us with any suggestions and things if you want to get involved, especially if you want to get involved on our platform as we're doing it. That's all possible. Just get a hold of us. And until next week, good luck out there, guys, and have a good one.
Peace.